I'm so excited to share this conversation I just had with my Morehouse brother, Ethan Brisby. Ethan is dynamic, to say the least. You see this map behind me? It's inspired by my conversations with people like him that we live in a global economy, a global world. And this conversation, we get into the nuts and bolts of traveling, doing business, and investing on the continent of Africa. So I know that this has been a hot button for quite some time now, just for several years. People have been talking about going back to Africa. And so if you've ever thought about it, or if you've ever just wanted to expand your horizons, whether that's investing abroad or just traveling abroad, this is a great conversation for you to lock into. So I'm just gonna kick it right over right now, and I'll catch you on the back end. All right, what's up, world? I'm so excited to sit here with my good friend, my Morehouse brother, Mr. Ethan Brisby. Ethan is an entrepreneur extraordinaire, and something that I absolutely love about Ethan is he is also a developer. He is the founder of Brisby Development Services, but also the founder of Shift Enterprise Academy, uh, which has now made international reach. Ethan, I'm excited to sit here and talk to you about something that we've been having lots of dialogue about, and that is the power of what's taking place on the continent of Africa. Thank you for sitting down and talking with me today, bro.
Nah, no doubt, man. I'm happy to be here, Jonathan. Glad to be in front of the people that are hear what we have to say. So thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Okay. So, for the people who don't fully know your background, if you could give me in 2 minutes or less, let everybody know just all of the amazing things that you've done in the entrepreneurship and real estate space.
Okay, yeah, man. Let's see. I'm almost looking at the clock to do the exact 2 minutes, but let's see if I can maybe do the three highlights that I think would be really awesome. One of the things that I love most that I've been called and able to do is write. I have a memoir that's available. It's called The Roaring Thirties. And so it's really my life from age 30 to 39. It was the best of times and it was the worst of times. And so through my healing and living out what I teach with Shift, I sat down and wrote, the stories, the highs and lows of my life. And so that's one of my most proud accomplishments as an entrepreneur is the Roaring Thirties. I use the book now for men's groups and for public speaking engagements. The other two, I would say in the entrepreneurial realm, one, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, obviously, Shift, something that I have babied and nurtured even since undergrad. It started out as research, trying to figure out what is it with the African American race? How do we excel? And I went from helping first generation college students to helping first time home buyers, and now working with early stage ventures, ambitious minds since 2021 in East Africa. And so Shift is something I'm sure we'll lean deeply into, but Shift Enterprise Academy is my life's work. And I'm just happy to be here in what I call fertile soil on the continent doing that work. For my last 30 seconds on my own intro, I would say Brisby Development Services, my real estate background. I spent about 12 years in Texas doing brokerage work, again, primarily working with like first time home buyers, but then I also dabbled into some fix and flip rehab deals. And so I still consult even from here with people on real estate deals. So that's me in a nutshell, man. I think those are the three things that I'm most proud of, and I like to mine deeper. And I'm also actually working now on another memoir related to real estate. It's called The Real Estate Hustle, just talking about some deals because you don't win them all, but you definitely learn a lot of lessons. So that's what's up. That's me.
Absolutely, man. There's no such thing as a loss, only lessons. I firmly believe in that. And that honestly is a mindset that I adopted very early. You talked about shift. I know that that's an acronym. Why don't you go ahead and just explain a little bit more the shift acronym and how you came up with it?
Yeah, for sure. So, after I, hypothesized what I thought would help, the culture and what we needed, I came up with, this solution, and it's Shift, and it's about the mindset. And so it begins with S, save your money. And that's about learning how local economy works, personal finance, things of that nature, being able to just essentially understand the laws of supply and demand. The H is help your family. And so I'm a first generation college student. So I really lean in on helping people that will achieve some sort of intergenerational mobility. And so that's the next phase of the acronym, help your family. It's also about servant leadership. And then we get into the I. The I is imagine your goals. Imagine your goals is you casting your vision. You know, anyone that comes through our program, we try to make sure they have a 5-year plan, but not only that, a 90-day action plan to really begin to get movement, get motion. What we say, I need some motion. So what's your 90 days of motion? And then the F is follow directions. And that's about perseverance because you know, Jonathan, all the entrepreneurs in the audience, the dreamers, the vision bearers, you know, it's easy to make a goal, but you know, God's going to test your heart. So follow directions is about perseverance and staying the course. And then the last T in the acronym stays, the last letter in the acronym is think accurately. And that's my favorite part of the shift pillars because that's about, listen, you have to rise above narrow-minded petty thinking. You have to rise above propaganda that tells you who you are and what's real and what's not real. I've been leaning very heavily recently into spirituality and studying the faith. I don't know who all is part of the Christian faith or any faith, but understanding it from a historical perspective. And that's been my task for thinking accurately recently, because this work that I'm doing is very spiritual, very mental. And then, of course, you still got to show up in the business realm of it with the tie on and do the things that matter to close deals. So that's the shift acronym, bro.
Yeah. And so Shift started in Texas. And now you're currently living in Uganda. Let's talk about that transition. First of all, what inspired you to make the leap across, out of the country into a brand new country? And how did you end up in, of all places, Uganda?
Man, I had to do it, bro. I had to, like I identify as an African American. So for me, the timing was right. I had a son when I was very young. I was 20 and, went through the tough stuff that young fathers deal with. Some of us, deal with child support. Some of us deal with not being stable and having to not know how to co-parent. So I had a tough 18 years. And so when my son, he ended up graduating from the school I was teaching at the time, he graduated that June, and man, I had a plane ticket set to come visit, and I came to visit. And once I got here, it was just like a call on my life. It was like a portal open for the next phase of my life. I didn't just dry stay. I ended up, I think I came back that December. And I took a year to really get affairs in order, get my son settled into his life as a young adult. And then I came back. So it was really a call, bro. I came and I just never seen spaces. It's just like when I went to Morehouse, I had never seen so many Black men walking in their own strength. When I came here, I had never seen just everyone looks just like me. So I was like, man, this is where I belong. I'm a proud American, but I also feel very much so at home here in this region. And yes, I am currently in Uganda. Also do some things in Kenya as well.
Absolutely. For those that don't know, Kenya and Uganda are bordering countries. There's a popular clip going around the internet right now of a woman who moved to Ghana and is less than pleased with that, with her move, right? And so I'm sure if you haven't seen it, I'm sure I'll plug it in so you can reference it. However, you just shared that you had a plane ticket and you didn't just jump off the cliff. You came home, you took about a year to get your affairs in order. Let's talk about what that transition time entailed and what was necessary for someone who's considering, there's a lot of rhetoric these days about people wanting to leave America and go elsewhere. As a person who's left America and gone elsewhere, what's truly required if you're gonna become a dual citizen or just shift where you live?
Yeah, for sure, man. The other day I was on a call with a company in Kenya, and the founder told me, because we're working on a partnership, he was like, I like to think big, start small, and move fast. And so that's what I would say to anybody even considering, a move or a visit. Think big. Sure, you would love to come here and Wakanda forever, that thing, and you know, build a beautiful city and marry, whatever the case is. But I think to start small, that really means, hey, you know, let me take a 7 day trip, or you know, let me do 2 weeks and maybe touch 2 countries. And from that visit, you'll begin to kind of get the vibes because it's a totally different civilization. I've seen the video of that young lady, and I really hate that for her and the way she, you know, has sort of put that out there for people to see those negative vibes. But it's authentic because I can't lie. This is not for everybody. It's not for everybody for sure. But I would certainly say you want to first obviously visit, and while you're here, you know, be open, get some relationships established. That way, when you go back to the States or wherever you're from, you can still communicate with the people you met. Now you're building some relationships that, you know, folks can help you because what people don't really know, Tease, is that, you know, especially people that we've never left, you know, Texas or Georgia or New York or California, we've just been to Miami, whatever the case is that many people across the world really see America as the pinnacle of life. Like they see America as the promised land. So when to meet an American, you assume this person has come from the promised land. So they must have money. They are from the place that I've been told is where all the answers are. We don't get that because we're Americans and we love to complain. But by and large, many people around the world view us as like that's it, and it's a melting pot. So, without being too long-winded with my answer, but I do want to be complete. I think in terms of especially what the young lady was speaking on and being scammed, and I even had someone send me that video and ask me, "Yo, are they scamming or are they on Unity?" And my response was, you know, you go to Atlanta, and some people is on Unity and some people are scamming. So you got to be ready for it all, you know, and you got to know like the peanuts might be $3 for a local, but when they hear that accent, those peanuts are $7 because sometimes people feel like they might have lost out if they didn't get something from you because again, they believe you got it.
Yeah, that's wild. And so I know Shift touches on the travel aspect of getting from America to the continent. What programs do you have available for someone who might be interested in taking that 7 day or 14 day experience?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And you know what this whole experience being here, I'm in year 4, by the way. Um, it's just I've pivoted with what people demand. There's been several iterations of what should work. How do I serve both here and my own tribe back home? And so, in wanting to serve my own tribe back home, you know, we have created the Shift Tours and Travel program, and it's 3 parts. You know, the first part is, you know, online like orientation. So you don't just drive, land in Kenya or Uganda expecting, you know, paved roads, for example. Some parts of the roads might be bad. So the first part is our online sort of orientation where you go through 5 weeks and we, you know, look into culture, you learn some local nuances. I have some local people, whatever country you're going to, they'll be on the calls to kind of talk from a firsthand perspective. The second prong is that trip. Then you come, right? You know, now you kind of got something, got a deep understanding, not just YouTube videos, but people that are from where you're from giving you insights and people on the ground. So then you come. And then we have, once you have come here, one of the things that the bridge that I'm building is to see people that, you know this very well, people that want to do business or people that want to invest. And so we first want to get you here and have a good time. But if you happen to see things that look like, you know, your American dollar, which stretches very far here, you know, maybe you want to get a portfolio of Airbnbs in Nairobi, you know, or maybe you want to invest in some of the businesses that we work with. So that's the third prong. We kind of help you and curate lists of opportunities. I call it an ideas dump, where we just dump whatever ideas you have and begin sort of that process. And so you can, the way people can get involved with that, I'm sure Tease will drop the link, but there's different prongs to it. It starts at about $5,000 to get you into the courses. That's also going to cover all of your expenses to get you here and while you're on the ground. And then, of course, the consultations once you leave. And so I think having that on the ground concierge to really personalize your experience, I think it's worth far more than what we're even offering it at right now. But right now it's just about, proving it to make sure that this is something that our people not only need but want.
Yeah, I'm excited about, kind of watching that unfold and seeing the impact that you can make. Something that especially jumps out to me, you mentioned how far the American dollar can stretch, and maybe getting excited about being on the ground and seeing your own individual area of interest or passion displayed for you on the African continent. And I'm sure that leads to a lot of business opportunities. So talk to me about how Shift is impacting entrepreneurship abroad.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest pull factors, when I first came first to Kenya and then to Uganda, just in a very normal way. I would see, 7, 8 ladies lined up, all selling the same fruit, bananas, for example. I would see someone with a clothing store and, they could only sell to people that walked by. People were not, by and large, leveraging the internet the way that we do. And so I created a curriculum called Launching into E-commerce, leveraging the Shift pillars. So one way we're impacting entrepreneurship is introducing ambitious minds to the Shift approach, to shift their thinking, but also to really lean into digital marketing and automation, and now, of course, artificial intelligence. We've had 5 different cohorts. Each cohort we usually take in about 15 young people. And here, youth goes up to like 35. In the US, when we say youth, it's like 18 and get out. But here, a youth could be someone that's 33 years old. So when I say youth, it goes up to about 35. And so we've had these 5 cohorts. And so what's happened, Jonathan, is that from the 5 weeks of virtual trainings, what's been evolving is just different programs. We went from launching into e-commerce to Shift Launchpad, which is more in-person. And now we have a digital learning management system where people can take courses self-paced. And so that's another thing we can link and have people to see and kind of get an idea of what it's all about. But that's how we're impacting entrepreneurship, leveraging the digital economy, and then also sort of dabbling into some incubation. But we need more, money to come here to be able to incubate and invest in some of these ventures that we're working with. But yeah, it's a slow and steady process.
Absolutely. And so we're going to get into the money and the financing in just a moment. But I'm curious, as a person who is boots on the ground and who is impacting change, what do you need from your American counterparts and your peers and colleagues?
I always think about service first. So I want people to try to understand, right, beyond an American lens. Try to rise above that petty thinking of what you've been told Africa is, because it's not even just Africa, right? There's 54, 56 different countries. Ghana's different from Nigeria. Nigeria is different from Mali, which is different from Ethiopia, which, so I want us to first try to maybe just choose a country and maybe look at its history. So I think that's something that I would want more than anything. Now, what do I and Shift need specifically? I would say just the space, right? If you're sort of thinking or you're on the edge about either, again, traveling, doing business, or investing, just give me an audience. I'm easy to talk to, and I'm more than happy to help educate. That's the first step. But more than anything, Jonathan, I want to go back to the cultural, social issues, because just like in Uganda and Kenya, they don't know the plight of the African American. They don't know our real story, right? They just know we play ball and we sing. And there's even a lounge really close to my house, and every night these guys are playing all the hip hop, old school, new school. And I'm like, yo, the culture is global. But the same thing is true. We don't understand what colonization did to the minds of Africans. And that's not a poke at anybody. That's saying we got to kind of first, and all you're getting, get an understanding. So before we talk about getting money, we got to understand the traumas that have been going on for centuries on each side. That's what I would want most.
Wow, that is impactful. And it's something that even for, all the conversations that you and I have, I don't think that I've even begun to scratch the surface as to how deep of an impact our history has had, much less, being pulled apart through one group coming to America and one group staying on the continent. That's crazy. Now, I mentioned getting back to the finance aspect of, the work that you're doing. And so I'm curious as to what are some opportunities if I am wanting, I've done the work, I've done my homework, and I start feeling drawn to this cause, right? Of return to Africa, or maybe Shift specifically. What are some opportunities that you have available right now that your regular person can take part in?
Yeah, I appreciate that opportunity, because this is heavy work. It's almost feels ancestral, I, in some cases, feel like, man, we're looking to finish a job that our ancestors started, and that can be heavy. So one of the things is, just for the everyday person, if you wanted to donate, this is nonprofit work, for starters, the training and education, the teaching of the shift approach is nonprofit. So we can direct you to our donor box page, and you can make a tax deductible contribution, right? Just give. You can give monthly or give once. We're looking to expand more so into Kenya. We're also looking to lean heavily into doing more work with refugees here. Uganda has the most refugees of any African country. It's surrounded by South Sudan to the north, conflict area, DR Congo to the west, conflict area, and then countries like Eritrea, which are all conflict areas. So there's a lot of refugees here, but they come professionals in their own country, but not so much here. So giving is the first thing you could do. But then if you would want to patronize some of the services we offer, like the travel, or if you need consulting on business or real estate, even on items that are back in the States, I still, obviously being from there, have done good work there. So that even helps to feel the coffers when I do consulting work. But then the part I'll lean in last would be investing, because we do have what's called a convertible note program. And I'll just kind of briefly lean into that. If you're an accredited investor, a convertible note means essentially you loan the company money. And then as we go out and invest in some of the ventures that we're incubating and some of the property and land that we're looking to secure for future developments, then your loan can convert into equity. That would be the easiest way to explain it. And so we have some terms that we think are very favorable for early adopters. And eventually we'll roll all the work that we do into a fund. And so, for those people that may be ready to invest, the ticket starts at $25,000. And so, that's something obviously you can get on my calendar about, because I've evolved into a fundraiser. I started as a teacher and a developer, and now I've had to learn what it means and what it takes to literally fundraise and pitch people ideas. So those are three ways, man. You can just donate. You can patronize the services that you've heard about. Or again, if you want to invest, we have some long-term outlooks that we think we're here early for. So get in now, but as the spaceship is taking off.
Man, I love that. So something that I really locked in on as you were sharing your vision for what Shift is essentially becoming the bank. And I hear you when you mention fundraising. So just to kind of recap, if a person decides that they want to see their funds go further overseas than maybe they could in the States, this convertible note not only gives you the power to invest in these opportunities, like you said, these early stage ventures on the continent, but also to establish equity in a company that's doing very impactful work, even operating at a nonprofit level. So I don't want to gloss over the fact that you're not charging the people on the ground for this training that you're providing, this curriculum, Shift curriculum.
Yeah, no, it's been very important to me throughout my career with Shift. This is, again, started almost 15 years ago, and I've never sought to make it something where you get rich. It's a public good. It's for the people. But since I've been here, I've had to also incorporate a for-profit arm, and that's where the real estate comes in. That's where, if you come through our program and you begin to excel, hey, fair trade was never robbery. We like to share in some of the equity, but at the beginning, it's about, hey, come in and get this work. So yeah, there are several different ways to engage, and I think that especially somebody that's already knows that they want to make a move, you're already ready to make a move, and even if that's not you in the audience right now, but your cousin, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your dad, your mom, or someone you know is it's been a family conversation. Hey man, let's talk about it. Let's really lean in and let the money circulate. But more than anything, we want to make sure we're having impact because we're not here to exploit anyone. We're here to empower people.
I love it. So if a person who has come across this conversation has decided that they want to tap in and start their journey to the continent, right? What, in your opinion, is the very first thing you would recommend that they do?
The very first thing we got to make sure we have is our passports. I don't want to glaze over the obvious because that's something that people don't always do. But once you got that ticket to get out there and you have your bread together, and we're going to get you a visa sorted. The American passport is very strong. You can get a visa pretty quickly. Decide where you want to go. Obviously, I'm in East Africa, so Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, those countries come to mind as places I would love to welcome you and meet you at. But if you're going to go on your own fantastic voyage, just decide where you want to go. Don't just trust YouTube videos. Try to have someone on the ground if possible. But if you want to align with Shift, I would invite you, and I'll say this now, you'll probably ask me later, but I would invite you to subscribe to our newsletter. Our newsletter is called Decision Makers Boulevard. And Jonathan, I think you'll help me with the link so people can see that. Yeah, subscribe to Decision Makers Boulevard. And that way we'll always have new information coming out. The links will be there. All the things I talk about will be there. You can hear from me. Or you can follow us all over social media. And for those people interested in really leaning in, hop on the calendar. My calendar is open, very accessible. I'm a man of the people.
Yo, honestly, my favorite part about talking to you, I feel like you do my job for me, man. I don't even got to wrap this thing up because you got the newsletter, you got the calendar link, you got the program list. I mean, you must be a Morehouse man.
Hey man, you can always tell a Morehouse man.
You can't tell them much, brother. Thank you
Not
again
at all. Not
so
at
much
all.
for your time. I appreciate you. It's been an honor, and I can't wait to see what comes from having more conversations like this.
Absolutely, man. My last, I guess, remarks would be for anybody in the audience right now that, again, Africa's not a monolith and, it's not a game. I know we have issues at home being in the United States that we need to tend to, but a visit doesn't mean you have to stay. You're still on Earth when you come here. For those people that are afraid, I remember my first flight. I was in JFK Airport. I did a straight flight from JFK to Nairobi, Kenya. I was petrified because I just did not know. But again, once I got here, I realized I'm still on Earth. So I would leave you with that. You're not leaving Earth. You're just going to a different civilization, and so respect it as such. Other than that, man, I hope to see y'all on the other side, and I hope to speak with some of you very soon about visiting, doing business, or investing on the continent.
And there you have it. Traveling, doing business, and investing on the continent of Africa. High level, I think we covered it all. So I'm so happy that you're here with me. Now, if you like this conversation, there are 3 things you can do. 1, be sure to smash this like button. I'm really trying to grow this channel, so would love to not only have you subscribe, but hit the notification bell so you can be the first to know whenever these conversations go live. Secondly, if you're looking for a group of creative entrepreneurs, artpreneurs as I like to call them, then you want to go follow the Love Collective. We spread love. We're a community of creative artists, entrepreneurs, and just an all-around vibe. All right, so you gotta go hop over to We Spread Love. That's LXVE.com and go check us out. Okay. All the good stuff are over there. We have a Patreon community that you can join for premium level content, premium level resources, or the free tier. You'll still get conversations like this. Last but not least, if you are interested in having these sent directly to you, then sign up for Love Notes. That's my personal newsletter that we send. We push out all notifications so they're the first to know about everything that happens on my channel or anything love related. So until the next time I see you, I wish you all peace and love. and always seek expertise.